Welcome to the Mayor's Perspective podcast, where Illinois community leaders speak candidly about the state and nationwide decisions that directly impact your community, your wallet, and your future. No spin, no talking points, just real conversations about the policies shaping our communities and what it means for you. Because when decisions are made at the top, they're felt at home.
All right, hello and welcome to the Mayor's Perspective podcast. Today we have a special guest alongside Guy Zambetti and Amber Kubiak, myself, Mike Reed. We have Tim Baldermann. Tim Baldermann is the village president of New Lennox, Illinois, which has a population of just over 22,000 people, whose careers included leadership roles in municipal government, law enforcement, education administration, regional transportation oversight, and public communications. Mr. Baldermann was first elected to the New Lennox Village Board of Trustees in 2001 before he became mayor in 2007. Since taking office, he has overseen local government operations during a period of continued residential commercial growth in the southwest suburban community. During his tenure, village leadership has focused on infrastructure improvements, economic development, public safety, and transportation access. How did I do? Does that sound like you?
I don't know. We got 30,000 people, but other than that, I couldn't have even written that bio. I don't know where you got that from, but
I'll send you a copy of it when we're done. I can go on. I've got a bunch of other high hits here, including I
was interested because I didn't know I did all that stuff. But go ahead.
No, I'll send it to you after the fact. Yeah. But I just know that you've got podcasts. In recent years, you've launched a podcast called Too Honest for Social Media. So in his spare time, he thought he'd be in another podcast, ours. And it's a public affairs podcast focusing on local, state, and national issues. The podcast features discussion with public officials, community leaders, educators, law enforcement representatives, and subject matter experts on topics affecting residents in the New Lennox area and throughout Illinois. So with that, welcome.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Maybe I should see if I got an opening in the public relations department. That was pretty good stuff.
You couldn't afford me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to join you here.
All right. Mr. Zambetti, you want to lead us off tonight?
Yeah. Besides the introduction you gave, the part that I find interesting and intriguing with this is we've gotten the circle to where we're sitting here and we feel we're not always heard. We're not listened to. And we started reaching out to each other, our neighboring communities, and just pushing back on things that we don't agree with. And I find this enlightening that this keeps growing. And now it's to the point where we're King County. I believe you're Will County over there in New Lennox.
Right.
So this is just showing like listeners out there, like this isn't just a little echo chamber within our little jurisdiction, our municipality, our county even. These are neighboring counties. Just for the point that we kind of met up and got together on this, it's demonstrating we're having a consistent message, and it's the same message. We're all feeling this. So that's why I'm gotten very intrigued by this, and it's kind of refreshing and enlightening to kind of what's going on in another county.
So we always kind of laugh, and we'll send communication back and forth. You know, it's tough being a mayor of your own community, but you enjoy reading about other communities going through, whether it be struggles or positives or trying to learn from each other. And so we came across you based on some of the videos that were posted about your feelings on the BUILD Act. And so I reached out not too long ago, and you were gracious enough to agree to appear on our show. And we're, again, happy to have you. But if you could tell us a little bit about yourself outside of the bio, tell us a little bit about New Lennox, so that you get to give our listeners just a little bit about what's different in your area as opposed to ours. Maybe just for a little bit of level setting, and then we'll dive into what we really want to talk about, which is the BUILD Act again.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm happy to do it. So New Lennox is a town of about 30,000 people, and we are growing residentially, commercially. We have just built a $70 million state-of-the-art, all artificial turf baseball complex. And starting in June, we're breaking ground on a $50 million, 140,000 square foot indoor place with a field house with 8 full-size basketball courts, 16 volleyball courts. We've got a couple of hotels and several restaurants that are coming. It's right at Route 6 and 355, right next to Silver Cross Hospital. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot of residential, a lot of commercial, and again, we're investing in our own community on a lot of these development projects. This is owned, the sports complex is owned entirely by the village of New Lennox. So we don't have any private partners around that. This is our first full year of baseball, and we are booked every single weekend, March through November. In the spring and fall months, we've got soccer, we've got lacrosse, we've got football practice out there, but we've got teams coming from all over the United States to play in these tournaments, and it's really been a great investment for us. So, but it doesn't matter the size of the municipality, what you have going on. What's happening in Springfield affects all of us. And the reality is we're faced with the same struggles that you are. When it comes to some of this bad legislation, especially one that takes away local control. Whether it's taking local control away from a small community or a larger community, we're faced with the same headaches. So I'm happy to be joining you three here today to kind of talk about the similarities and what we can do to work together.
All right, Amber, do you want to kick off our first topic?
All right, so we're going to talk about the BUILD Act. Tim, what I'd like to know is, I know you've been talking to a lot of different mayors throughout the state. Have you gotten anybody that agrees with these BUILD Acts, that thinks it's a good idea? I know everybody I've talked to has said, oh, I hate this BUILD Act. It doesn't make sense for my community. I'm wondering, where does it make sense?
Well, I saw the governor drug up like three mayors, two from towns I never heard of, and then one was Oak Park, which is a big town. It's a big city, but I don't know. And listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't know why anyone would support the BUILD Act, and the reason I say that is, even if you felt that there was a lot of merit to this plan, you can do it in your town yourself. You don't need the state of Illinois to pass this legislation. If you want to tear down single-family houses and put up 8 flats, go ahead. No one's stopping you other than probably your residents, but as a mayor and a board, you have the authority to do that. So why would you encourage the governor and the state legislators to take away local authority when you have the ability to do it yourself right now without their legislation?
I think the other thing that frustrates me with the BUILD Act, when I look at it, I understand that there's a housing crisis, there's a housing affordability crisis, if you will. I don't understand how anything in this BUILD Act makes housing actually more affordable for Illinois residents.
You don't understand it because it doesn't. I mean, and that's the reality, and that's why there is pushback on this build plan from the far left, from people who really, their main mission is looking for affordable housing and is looking to address the housing shortage. And they're not happy because they know this plan, Amber, it does exactly that. It does not address affordability at all.
Yeah, that's the part that's really concerning. As we talked about it at our last board meeting. We're Guy, we're in the largest growing region, or the fastest growing region in the state of Illinois. According to CMAP, they say that our area is growing the most and the fastest. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of our towns had subdivisions that were planned for before the housing shortage or the crisis in 2008 when the economy dropped out. And so what happened was a lot of this farmland was subdivided and approved for building and then never happened because then they stopped building houses. Well, now it's all on the books. And so now people are out here building like crazy, despite the interest rates and the high cost of homes. Why is that? Because there's a 3 million housing shortage across the United States. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, as we discuss, having housing available, that's a need for any community. Having the diversification of housing options in any community, that's important as well, because you need to either be able to afford your first home or your last home. And a lot of times there's not that availability in subdivisions or in communities to have that within the different subdivisions. What this BUILD Act is trying to do, again, under the guise of trying to make housing more affordable, right? Which is something that we can all agree. You need to be able to buy a house. You need somewhere to live, right? There's something that needs to be done. but this Build Act doesn't do it. The cost of a 2x4 is the cost of a 2x4. The cost of connecting or running infrastructure, there's a cost to that. Taking away parking restrictions where you put in these 8 flats in single family residential neighborhoods and then have nowhere for these places to park, or no minimum setbacks where they could build the houses right up, or the 8 flats right up against the lot lines. And then what happens to your stormwater? It's so many unanswered questions.
Well,
and they also
at the end of the day, though, this is a smoke show. You could come in and you could propose, we're going to make more affordable housing. We need more diverse housing. We need different products. Take classic example, City of Chicago. They have multi-units. They have various price ranges of housing. They have a lot more people sleeping in the street in the City of Chicago than they do in my municipality. I don't see anybody sleeping in the street here. So how do you take, there's different cultures, there's different sections, there's different price ranges, and say, we have to cut the red tape in the municipalities. Meanwhile, they got the biggest problem where they offer these things, right?
Well, I think
makes no sense.
The other issue is this is like a one size fits all for the whole state. And Tim, like you alluded to earlier, there's different, you have 30,000 people in your municipality. I have 13,000. We have if we have no parking, I don't know how people get around. I don't have public transportation readily available here. I don't know how people would get around. It doesn't make sense. They created these bills for the entire state, and every municipality is different.
Well, here's what I would say. We're having a conversation where we're trying to use common sense, and let's just cut through all the crap. The reality is this, and it's real easy to find voter records. I pull a Republican ballot in the primary, but in that general election, I guarantee you I'm bouncing back and forth, left and right, depending on who the best candidate is. I think a lot of people are like that. So if you have to label me, I'm center right, but I'm a pretty moderate guy. And on some social issues, I'm pretty liberal. So I'm just a middle of the road guy. So this isn't political for me. The bottom line is Governor Pritzker wants to run for president. And one of his biggest opponents in the Democratic primary is going to be Gavin Newsom. They've already passed this in California. They anticipated that this was going to lead to the construction of 700,000 homes, and it led to the construction of 100,000, which, by the way, is the amount of homes that they were building before this legislation passed. So it did absolutely nothing. We're here having a conversation discussing the merits of the build plan, when in reality, it is nothing more than checking a political box. So when J.B. Pritzker is in that Democratic primary for president and Gavin Newsom says, well, this is what I did for affordable housing, Pritzker can say, well, I did that too. And so I will discuss every word in this build plan with you, but you're going to come to the same conclusion that it doesn't make sense. It is by far, as I said on my podcast, and the Will County Governmental League director said the same thing, and we're not exaggerating, the worst piece of legislation that we've ever seen in Illinois.
It's the most destructive. I would add the
100%.
Worst and destructive.
Yeah.
Because it is. And so it's funny, and as we've had these conversations, and we've tried not to be political on this.
You got the wrong guy.
We typically, what I'm saying is we typically we try to stick to the issues. And I would say for the most part, as mayor, we are in the middle. We have to be, especially in our communities. And we have to, because we have to represent we have to represent every view within our community, right? If somebody comes to you with a problem, you're going to have to do your best to figure out how to resolve that issue. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they reside on or not. At least for me, I don't have the luxury of picking a side. I typically don't. So what is hard about this conversation is, so we recently passed resolutions or issued statements, right? And so then you go on social media and you post it in solidarity with your other surrounding communities, and the misinformation that is out there. I mean, we got accused. We wrote a letter. It wasn't political at all. It stuck to the issues. My whole board endorsed our letter, right? So then we posted it. We got accused of, it's straight out of the GOP, this is false, this is not true, what the cities, all these cities are making this worse than it is. And so I just don't know how to have an educated conversation with somebody that is not reading the whole argument, if that
Well, you
makes
can't,
sense.
and that happens on both sides of the aisle. That's why anything that I've posted, I have actually given links to the legislation. I provide them with factual information, but I understand that people are going to look at it in terms of right and left and Dem and Republican. So when I did my podcast, I started out by saying, here's where I'm at. Donald Trump lost the election in 2020, and January 6th was an abomination. So I'm not some far right Trumpian that thinks that anything, this stupid feud that he has with Pritzker going back and forth. They're both idiots. JB Pritzker is Donald Trump. He is the same person. He just happens to be on the other end of the spectrum. It's all nonsense. And so for me, I couldn't care less. If this was a Republican governor, I'd be working just as hard against this plan as I would if it's a Democrat. I really don't care.
I would agree. Bad legislation is bad legislation.
Here's the thing too that frustrates me, and I got to tell you, Mike, I don't agree with. I try not to get political because I'm pissed off because at the end of the day, you put me in a political position. You put this crap on my community. You put the solar farms on here. Now you put the Build Act on here. You forced me to get political. This isn't me getting political saying I'm against the party. I'm against the crap that you're putting together to support your party. You're here to support the people. And at the end of the day, I'm not getting that blowback from my community. You can go on our social media pages because the first thing I say when they're saying, why are you supporting where are you with the Build Act and why are you being so strong against it? The first response I give them, let me know where you live, that you'll sign up till you'll have any of these dwelling units next to your house and you're okay with it. Number two, you have my cell phone number. You've messaged me on Instagram, whatever, at 9 o'clock at night. Our village hall is 15 minutes away. You've at all times been able to reach me and I've communicated. We've worked through whatever development you have an issue or you like. Do the same thing by any of those forms that I listed with your governor. And if you can't do that, you no longer have the right to come to me and say you're being political.
Well, we've become so partisan in this country, and both sides are guilty of it.
Yep.
The reality is, as you kind of alluded to in my bio, I retired as a police chief after 22 years, and I am retiring this month or next month after 14 years as a school superintendent. So I have a background in education, I have a background in law enforcement, I have a background in municipal government. When Bruce Rauner and Jeannie Ives were down in Springfield, they were pushing for consolidation. And I will tell you that everyone on its face says, oh yeah, if we consolidate all these small units of government, we're all going to save big money on our property taxes. Bullshit, it doesn't work like that. So what happened was they forced us to consolidate our PSAP, our police dispatching and fire dispatching. We used to have 7 communities. We're now dispatched on the same band as 30 communities. And not only are we not getting the same type of service, because obviously those dispatchers can't know 30 towns like they knew 7, but my bill went up $100,000 because it doesn't work like that. When they talk about, and this is all Republican push, consolidate these small schools. Well, what happens is, because you're going to get rid of a couple of superintendents and you're going to save, $150,000 a year salaries. But when you put in grade schools with high schools, the grade school teacher's making 45 grand, the high school teacher's making 90 grand. Now they're in the same union, and every grade school teacher wants to make 90 grand, and they're going to get it. So you saved a couple $100,000 in superintendent fees, and it cost you $2 million in new labor fees. So it's all political talking points. The Republicans do it, the Democrats do it. It just so happens we live in Illinois that's run by Democrats, and this is their crappy legislation that would destroy the character of every community in the state. That's it.
And here we are in the middle, trying to have a logical conversation, like you said, trying to have a logical conversation about it and apply logic where it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean that's, Guy, you said it. Anyone that truly wants to read the legislation with an open mind would know that it says a couple of things. And when I did my podcast, I think, Amber, you may have heard it, but I read the correspondence from the governor's office. I didn't read it from some right-wing website. I read the correspondence from the governor's office that said, let's do away with the nuisance of public hearings. The governor said, people coming to your town hall and having a right to speak about what they like and don't like is an inconvenience and a nuisance. That's what the governor calls public input. Those are his words. So that's gone. Gone is your ability as a resident of your community to go talk to your mayor and board and say, I don't like something because the governor thinks it's an inconvenience.
And we're red tape.
And we're red tape. That's all we are.
And I
That's
don't know
all
what
we-
your average permit review times are, but ours are relatively short. I mean, we tell people 10 days, but that's it. I mean, we don't have a problem with reviewing permits.
And I will tell you, ours are longer. We do move pretty expeditiously. What really ends up happening is we have comments that come back, and then we're waiting on the developer to give us their comments. So we're not talking about review time because someone wants to put an addition on or a pool. I'm talking about someone that's building a 400 home subdivision. And
that's a different story.
Yeah.
That's a different story. That's like a 90-day turnaround time. We can have that done in about 90 days, assuming we don't miss deadlines or anything like that.
Right.
But even still, I mean, of all the complaints that I get as being the guy in charge, permits being issued is usually not high up on the complaint list. I don't know. I can't speak for you guys, but I hear way more about garbage pickup than I do about permit reviews.
Well, you talked about parking. How about the fact that if you have ADUs in backyards or you're putting up 6 flat or 8 flats where there were single family homes, what about the water and sewer? I mean, what about the infrastructure there? It's not only parking. They're going to tap in to what are your water lines? Is your sewer plants, are they built to that capacity where all of a sudden you could triple the population of your community?
Yeah.
No, and I'm going to tell you what, we're doing a wastewater treatment plant expansion right now. It's a $70 million project. We're going to double our capacity, but I can't triple it. And if they put this through, that's going to put us over capacity again. And I don't have the money to expand our wastewater treatment plant any further.
And that's a health issue.
Yeah.
It's a health problem. So
And has been brought up several times. And then you talk about some of these communities out by us in particular, like Burlington as an example. They have city water, but they don't have a wastewater treatment plant. So they have city water and septic.
Okay.
And so with the minimum lot sizes, and then same with like Hampton Hills out here, they don't have city water at all. They all are on well and septic. With the minimum lot sizes and the fact that there's no call outs for any of that. So how do you put up an 8 flat and then what do you build right over your septic field? How does that work?
It doesn't work.
You can't do that.
Yeah. In our average lot size for our single family homes is 10,500. That's what it is. Now you're going to take that down and have 2,500 square foot lots. I'm going to put 4 buildings where a single family home was. You can't handle the parking. You can't handle the water and sewer. You can't handle any of it. You can't, and you can't charge impact fees. I mean, again, it's ridiculous that we're having this conversation because we're trying to make common sense of the illogical. But what I will tell you is this. Obviously, I've been very vocal on this. I'm very grateful for all the mayors that have been vocal. But what's really happened is the people who say, well, it doesn't matter what I say, they're going to do what they want anyway, may be proven wrong here. There have been so many people, so many great residents in our constituents and residents of the state of Illinois that have been pounding their legislators that we may find out in a week that call to action that we all put out as mayors, because we're just mayors. But when they start hearing from voters that are calling every day, and they have been, we may find out that their voice was loud enough to put an end to some of this nonsense, because they cannot logically explain how this does anything they say it's going to do.
You know what, Tim, now, to echoing off of that a little bit, I'm going to give you more credit than you're giving yourself. We're not just mayors. I look at the 3 of you on there, and I put myself in my own community, and I think you guys could relate to this. Our kids went to school with these people's kids. Our families grew up together. We've gone through holiday parties, Easter egg hunts. We've grown with these families. We've seen them go through losses. We've mourned with them. We're reachable. We live in this community that we nurture. The other part of it is you get to Springfield, they don't know who these people are. So when I would like to think, and I really do feel this is the case, when I talk to my community, I respect them and I listen to them, and I really feel they have the same appreciation and consideration for me. And you know what? Once in a while, I'll step in some crap, and they'll let me know I stepped in crap, and I'll take a step back. But they'll appreciate that. Okay.
Guy, I'm going to tell you that to our people, were more than just mayors. But I will tell you in Springfield, if the only pushback they got on this build plan was 50 mayors or 100 mayors or a couple of the COGs, municipal league and governmental league, it is because our residents have been picking up the phone, making phone calls. Our legislators throughout this state have been getting bombarded literally with tens of thousands of calls and emails from Illinois residents saying no to the build plan. If it was just the COGs and it was just the mayors, they look at solar, look at internet. They took away our rights because mayors bitched and they didn't care. But when real voters, I'm the mayor of 30,000 people in my community. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd be shocked if at least 1,000 of them didn't pick up the phone and send emails. All of a sudden, they have 1,000 voters telling them they're pissed off. Now they're going to listen. And if we have success, it's because the people did what we asked them to do.
That's where I'm going with this. Our typical fashion would be, as a mayor, you're respectful. You go through the proper channels to push back on something. You go through filling out slips. You go to. This changed. This changed to where there's a lot of mayors saying, we've had enough. We're not being listened to. We're trying to do things the right way. We're getting nowhere. We're getting slapped in the face constantly. We're now going to our community that does respect us, does listen to us, and saying, we're concerned. We think this is going to harm our community. And these residents, like you're saying, are saying, you know what? I believe them and I agree with them. And they're taking action where maybe they didn't do that as much before, because a lot of us mayors are like, don't go too far. Oh, you might have some grants in the work that might get threatened if you speak out of turn, or it's kind of like, it's too much.
Well, I think that's why we agreed to start this, right? That's why we started this podcast. And I think that's, I enjoy listening to yours too, Tim, because I feel like you're in the same boat. I don't want to speak for you, but they weren't listening to us. We needed to find some way to speak to our community in a way, in a time that they wanted or were able to. And so that's where this podcast idea came to, so they could see us as a real person and discuss the issues, on their level when they can hear us. Somebody walked past my house the other day and they said, "Hey, look, I'm listening to your podcast." And I was like, "Okay, check's in the mail, dude." But even still.
Well, but 20 years I've been mayor, I've never asked our community to be disengaged with the state legislators as I have. Because we lost solar, we lost the right to do something with solar. Yep. We're going to be impacted by that. People are unhappy. Okay, it's not good, but we can deal with it. But losing these zoning rights, and what will happen with housing, the community is destroyed. It's destroyed. Yep. And that's why this was so urgent for me to do this. So I do my, I know, as Mike knows, because you helped me get on this thing here and move my screen around, I know zero about technology, but I got a great marketing team. And they started me doing these TikToks. I didn't even have TikTok. And so some of our TikToks had, 5,000 views, 10,000 views, 15,000 views, whatever. We did this TikTok less than a week ago with my message to the governor, and it's been seen 85,000 times just on TikTok. And when my marketing person put it on our Facebook, it was viewed another 90,000 times. So it's been, so this issue is that important, and the people, the governor here and the legislators have poked the sleeping giant, and it's not us. It's the people who've had enough, and they are fed up of high property taxes. They are fed up of not being listened to, and now their biggest investment could be in jeopardy because someone's going to knock down the house next to them and put up a crappy 6-flat. No way.
Well, let's hope that there's some legs on this. We really
Well,
need it
not
as
just wait
mayors,
till
and
you
they
see
were.
the next TikTok and podcast I do at this.
Well, I can't wait for that. So we're about 30 minutes into this conversation. You are listening to the Mayor's Perspective podcast. If you are wanting to get involved in the show, please send us an email at themayorsperspective@gmail.com. You can find us on your social platforms at the Mayor's Perspective. And of course, you can find us on all of your podcast platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. So we've talked about the Build Act. We've talked about some of the hopefulness that we have that the residents make some phone calls, send some emails. I don't know what else you guys want to talk about this evening.
You know what? I'd love to know. I've heard you guys a little bit, but nothing from Tim. What's going on your side of the world with these e-bikes? I'm telling you, one part it's like let the kids have fun, which I want to see happen. Like for the ones that act like good boys and girls, then there's some of them I'm like, I want to make those expensive paperweights. Like,
It is. It is a nightmare in my community for sure.
Yeah,
I
we
wish
see it as
I wish
well.
the state legislator would work on this instead of trying to push through the Build Act that none of us want. Like, let's get some laws from Illinois.
Well, they're also working on the mega projects plan,
Oh yeah.
which in an effort to keep the Chicago Bears, which
yeah,
I think we all want to keep the Bears, but the reality is it went from a $500 million construction value development to a $100 million construction value development. And as far as I've seen, the latest iteration hasn't carved out data centers, which is a big topic out here. So all of a sudden, if this thing passes, it's not just the Bears. They could have passed legislation it was just for the Bears, but $100 million in construction value is not much. I'm sure you all know that. And so what's going to end up happening is villages, park districts, schools, they're all going to get screwed out of property tax revenue because these billion-dollar corporations are going to be able to, cut some sweetheart deal on how much they're paying and not paying their fair share. So where's that going? That's going all to our local property taxpayers are going to have to shoulder the burden for these billion-dollar companies. So e-bikes is a problem. In our community, we have the same exact problem. We do. But really, it's like we want kids to have fun, but we're concerned about some kid just going down the street and you can't see him and you run over him. And that's the concern. It's not about ruining some kid's fun. It's about killing some kid, God forbid, because you can't see him riding down the street. But I'm with you, Amber. I wish they'd leave this crappy legislation of mega projects and build plan alone and deal with some of the issues like property tax relief.
yep.
Yeah.
What about some of these things they're coming up with? Like you're reading like these grocery bags. They're worried about grocery bags, and they're worried about chickens in backyards. Like I'm like, who comes up with this crap? Like I'm sitting there like grocery bags. You know how many water bottles we go through? Like that's the plastic you're worried about? Just that one. Now, the other ones.
That's checking political agendas.
It's ridiculous.
That's all it is. It's checking political agendas, and it's how are we going to save the world by not letting you have a plastic bag?
Are you guys getting feathers? Are you getting feathers ruffled down there as far as the? I'm not going to say it right. The plastics, the particles in your water. The
PFAS.
Yeah.
This is the next. Just watch. We already know it's coming. They don't know if they're going to regulate it. They think they're going to regulate it. They're going to sample it to see if they're going to regulate it. It's like you're going to do it. It's just another mechanism to get in there and find a way to strip it out of there, and it's going to cause us to pay a lot of cost. But in the same sense, they had to send out these notifications. There may be contaminants of this in your water. Meanwhile, they're drinking out plastic water bottles. They're throwing contacts in their eyes. Now the state of Illinois is, nope, you follow state plumbing code. There's no longer where you need to put in copper. You could put plastic water lines. But on this side, we're going to pull it out of our treatment plants. Like, it's just illogical. Again.
It is. When this country was founded, in our 13 colonies, and you can double check this, but I'm not far off. When we first became a country, we had 3 million people living here. That's it. And back then, the founding fathers knew smaller government was better. That's why it was all about the states. Well, back then, our states were the size of some of our middle-sized cities. I'm not even talking about Chicago, I'm talking about a Joliet or a Naperville or 150,000 people or whatever the case may be. So the bigger the government, the more they get involved, the more screwed up crap gets.
Yeah.
They ought to just leave it to the locals to do what they're doing. But in Illinois and in California and in New York and in some of these other states, what they're trying to do is do away with local government. They're trying to take away all of our authority, and the people are really going to pay. They're really going to pay the price for that. And that's what concerns me.
That's the part that has been, I've been involved since 2013, and I've been mayor now. This is the beginning of my second term, and it seems like it's become a constant attack on local government. That's what I can't understand. As you talk about grocery tax, as you talk about home rule, as you talk about all the myriad of the unfunded mandates. I mean, I always tell everybody Hampshire is a perfect example of like when you have a college kid and you're ready to send him to college, you make too much money to qualify for any of the funding, but not actually enough money to send him there. That's Hampshire. We're trying, our annual operating budget is like $8 million. $4 million of that goes to the police department. So we're trying to do everything that we could possibly do on $4 million. And this isn't an so woe is me. That's not it. This is we're doing okay. But then when you have somebody else coming in here all the time, taking away your authority or telling you got to spend more money on this or do things differently, you go, something's got to give here.
Well, you kind of glossed over unfunded mandates, and that's the one that people don't understand. So they talk about property taxes and how bad property taxes are in Illinois. And the governor loves to go around and say, it's not me, it's the local groups that are getting the property taxes. Yeah. Well, here's why it is him. And I think I did a stupid TikTok on that too. But the reality is there's been over 700 mandates that have been given. There is a thing called the State Mandates Act that I'm sure you're familiar with, but if your listeners aren't, they can look it up. And what the State Mandates Act says, it's a law passed by our own legislature that says if the state creates a mandate, they have to fund it. Of the 782 mandates, the state of Illinois has funded 4 out of 782, which means that when they're telling schools you have to have X amount of teachers for X amount of kids, especially in a special ed room or something like that, they're setting the rules, but they're not paying for it. And so the school districts who always get hit the hardest, they always get blamed the most because that's where the majority of your property tax goes. But what these mandates are primarily put on schools. So if the state of Illinois was funding these mandates, these 780 some mandates, millions of dollars would be saved in every school district because the state would be paying for these teachers, but they don't. So it goes on the local property tax owner. The other thing is Article 10 of the Illinois State Constitution says that the state of Illinois has the primary responsibility for funding public education. Now, you're 3 intelligent people. What does that mean to you? That means at least 50.1. Mm-hmm. In my grade school district, where we have 5,400 kids and 600 and some staff members in District 122 in New Lennox, their budget is $75-80 million. The state of Illinois pays 10 of it, not 50. So imagine if they were paying for 50% of education, the tens of millions of dollars that would be returned to our property tax owners. But the state doesn't live up to their obligation. They tell you, here's what you're going to do, and you're going to pay for it. We're violating our own law in the State Mandates Act.
Yeah, I think it's 88 cents of every property tax dollar out here that we pay to the school district.
Wow,
and we get 6. So I don't know what your tax rate is.
We get 4. My village gets 4, and our schools between the grade school, the high school, and the community college take up about 70%. But the village gets 4%.
Yeah.
We get 2 in Pingree Grove, 2%.
2%. I mean, that's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah, we're pretty low.
People always tell me, why can't you take property taxes away? I said I could take them away, but you wouldn't notice.
That's right. You might save $12 on your tax bill. Yeah. All right, what else you got for us here?
So we are about the point where we can talk about some fun stuff, if you'd like. What do you think?
Well, this has
Happy
been a
hour
blast
tonight?
for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well, unless anybody's got anything more on these topics or more, we can roll into happy hour tonight if you'd like.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. Open it up.
What do you think? Guy, you got some exciting stuff happening
Yeah.
this weekend?
Yeah,
Well,
I've been dying to hear about it, Guy.
we just have community days. I can't reveal the stuff that's undercover still, but we have our local carnival, and for some reason we're glutton for punishment in this town. Most of the municipalities that I've seen that have carnivals, they either have like a fest committee or someone away from that. They're like, but for some reason, our community, we do it ourselves. So it's like basically like the administrator, assistant administrator, public works, and then I get dragged into the mix, and we're out there like selling beer and what's this is like, and it's always been like that. The in the past when we've done it, we've had fest committees. I want to say about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It just didn't work out. It just we had a deficit. We had a $20,000 deficit. Oh, okay. Then another deficit. So it got to the point where either we're going to have it or not, and then we rolled our sleeves up. But now, as the town grows from 1,000 people to close to 10,000, we're kind of like, hey, this thing's kind of getting a lot.
Yeah.
So,
So
you're having a carnival this weekend?
Yeah, it's our town festival. We call it community days. I think it's a good draw. And I do have to say, it's kind of like a big wedding. Like I take it that way. So a lot of the work of it is aggravating, but the part where you get to see everybody from town, and that's when that type of stuff you really, and I'm sure you guys could all relate to this. That's when you get to really relate to people. You get to sit down and they'll come up to you and talk, or you'll go up to them and talk. And by the end of the 4 days, my voice is hoarse. But that's a good thing. I've done more in those 4 days than I could do in 2 months. There's a lot of people that pointed things out.
What do you have as far as entertainment? Do you have bands
Me.
and you have?
No.
Are you going to be telling jokes?
Me.
Guy Zambetti one man show.
I can't even list off all the time. There's so much. We have full 4 days of bands and carnival vendors, and petting zoos, all the typical carnival stuff.
As long as I'm not getting roped into your dunk tank this year, I'm in good
Hey,
shape.
how many
Yeah,
of you
I was
guys?
thinking the same thing.
You guys, okay, so I take a lot of pride in this. Now, this gets a little preserving our culture here. How many of you have hard liquor served at your carnivals?
That you serve, or that the carnies bring in themselves?
That you let be served, whatever. We have it to where my reasoning is the village sells beer, and we let the local bars in town sell hard liquor. So they either sell their jungle juices or their vodka lemonades, or if you want to go and get a rum and coke, you're going to get a rum and coke. Or if you're going to do a shot, you're going to do a shot to see if you're intoxicated. And the officer doesn't go, "What did you get drunk on?" You're either drunk or you're not. That's your decision if you're going to do that.
Guy, why don't you send me the details on this, and we may take a trip out to your place this weekend.
Hey, I take a lot of pride in that. Back. Now, you know how we have the gambling machines? Now, this one I did back down on. I got a little too smart about this one. This is an interesting fact that I learned the hard way. The gambling, I thought I was going to get cute because you could have the machines running as long as the liquor license is in order, right? So I don't know how many of you have, but we have the gambling machines in our gas stations, and we have to give them liquor license so that they could have their 4 machines run. Well, then I was like, well, why don't we just have it nonstop? There's people that show up at 1 a.m. Like, we all know the gas station doesn't really serve alcohol, but we're required to have it run with the liquor license. Our attorneys looked into it, and they're like, we've not found another community in the state of Illinois that has a 24-hour liquor license in a gas station. I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to take that one.
Oh, man. So in the first year that we were mayors, you and I got elected the same year, right? Then we were trash talking each other. We were trash talking each other on social media, and we did the cop on top, which community could raise more money, and then whoever lost had to be in a dunk tank. Well, Hampshire lost, and I had to go I was the spectacle of honor, I guess, over there, and his whole community lined up with baseballs to dunk me. And most of my community came out too. The line was wrapped around the block to dunk me in the tank at Gilbert's. So, yeah, we have all kinds of fun online for sure.
Good.
For sure. Amber, what do you got going on?
You know what? Just a lot of construction over here. We got roads under construction. We got parks under construction. Everything's under construction. And the kids are running wild on the e-bikes. Nothing too exciting right now.
Thanks for being so uplifting as always. How about you, Mayor Baldermann?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit going on. We do a big concert series out in our community. We've been doing it for years. This year we've got on June 6th, Brothers Osborne is coming out to play if you're a country fan. And then throughout the rest of the year in August and September, we've got Men at Work, Toad the Wet Sprocket, Big and Rich, Blue Oyster Cult, Andy Grammer, and then on September 12th, we've got Roger Daltrey from The Who. So coming out to play. So
I might have
you
to
don't have
take
guy-
a trip out there with my friends over here.
you have
But
to
you
get
don't-
out there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would encourage you.
Will you serve hard liquor?
No, we will not. We will serve beer, and you can get some whatever. What are they drinking? Mike's Hard Lemonade or some bullshit. But and I'm a Johnny Walker Black guy, so
Yeah.
that's what I drink. If you're having that in your town, guy, if you've got Johnny Walker Black available,
I might have something set aside for you.
are you buying?
I'll buy. You fly, I buy.
All right. Well, fly. I'd have to fly. I don't even know how the hell far out you are from here.
You really like it. It's country.
A good thing I don't have an electric vehicle, or I'd have to probably stop halfway and charge it.
We don't like those that much here.
Yeah, we don't have that. I've got a big Jeep with a big old gas tank, and I'm paying the $5 a gallon out here. So I don't even know how far. Did anyone ever map that out? How far apart we are from each other? I don't even know how far.
You know what?
I think you're about an hour 15 from us.
Yeah, I've driven out that way before.
Well, that's gonna cost you more than one Johnny Walker Black.
Dude, we'll throw the whole bottle in, but then you won't be able to drive home.
I never do that. I will make sure I have a response.
Well, you know what? You can hang out with the carnies because the one year they had the air mattresses on the plane. No, they have
the carnies.
They have sleeping quarters. We had one vendor. They haven't come back because we didn't appreciate their use of air mattresses. They decided to go and put all their air mattress beds onto the pond, and the residents took
I'll
off.
just be like Otis and Mayberry. I'll come sleep in your cell.
Okay, we don't even have a cell. We have a bench that we handcuff people to.
All right, I'm in.
I'll post a picture. You won't believe it.
Amber, do you have anything better than that this weekend, or am I going to see Guy?
You're gonna have to go see Guy. I don't have my festival isn't until July 10th and 11th. You come out for that. We serve alcohol, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if I can.
I'm not a lush. I mean, I drink probably like once every 3 months. But if I'm driving all the way to where Moses left his sandals, I better be getting a drink.
No, you got to drive past that to get where we are.
Yeah, we're Jesus.
All right, Mike, you got nothing either. Then I take.
No,
If
not this
you're
weekend. I
big thrill of
don't.
being in the dunk tank in Guy's Town, I guess you got nothing.
No, nothing this weekend. Next weekend, the Hampshire Historical Society is bringing back Old Fashioned Days. So we have a town festival every year in August that was renamed to Coon Creek Country Days some years ago. And so before that, it was Old Fashioned Days. And so the Hampshire Historical Society is bringing that back. We're closing down our downtown. And
You got to
we're
wear
celebrating
some
our
weird-ass costume or something?
Yeah.
yeah. So we're celebrating our 150th anniversary here. So Hampshire is 150 years old.
That's a big
And
deal.
so they've got a whole bunch of bands lined up, and they're going to do. They're bringing back the old tradition of being able to lock people up in a jail right in the middle of downtown. So you can pay $5, I guess, and lock somebody up in jail, and I don't know, and people can keep paying to keep you in there. So there's rumors that they want to keep me locked up for a while. And I said that's just
You may want to lay low.
Burn you at the
That-
stake.
That's just par for the course in Illinois, a politician being in jail. But I digress. And so anyway, so we've got like American English and the Blues Brothers coming out and stuff, and that's all next weekend. We're going to be doing the water fights with the fire department and police department and stuff. And Should be a good
Jeez, I don't
time.
know if I can afford to drive out to where you guys are 2 weekends in a row.
I don't blame you. I understand
Yeah,
how
that's
that
tough.
is. It's tough. I drive a diesel
If I
pickup.
gotta choose between free Johnny Walker Black
Wait.
and dressing up like I was in the 1850s or something, I don't know.
They still
I'm not
dress like that in Hampshire.
Yes, that's true.
They call it old fashioned days, but it's the same.
It's just Hampshire days.
Amber, which one would you choose? Old fashioned days or guys thing?
You know what? I have not been to Old Fashioned Days.
I haven't
But
either.
I have been to Gilbert's Days, and Gilbert's Days is a real good time.
Gilbert's
so I know
Days
I'll
is
be
great.
there this weekend.
All right, Amber, we'll see you out there then.
All right, I look forward to
With
it.
the Johnny Walker.
Yes, and make sure Brothers Osborne on June 6th, and then you can look at the new Lennox website for all those other concerts
I
we
think we're
talked
gonna
about. We
check
do a
this
lot of
out.
great stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you guys joining tonight. I really appreciate you joining, taking time out of your schedule, figuring out this
Sure.
technology thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are great. You are listening to the Mayor's Perspective podcast. If you like what you heard or you have suggestions or you want to be a part of the show, please email at themayorsperspective@gmail.com and find us on social media at the Mayor's Perspective. That's all I've got for now.
All right. Well, if they like what they heard, they got to find some new entertainment.
Yeah, well, hold on. We should do the blatant plug. Mirror Ball light just came on. Why don't you plug your podcast? You haven't plugged it yet. So what do you got coming on yours?
All right. Well, I just had one released yesterday with the president and CEO of Silver Cross Hospital. As Amber said, we talk about local, state, federal issues. You can find the old ones there where we talk about all the build plan and the mega projects and the crappy Safety Act and all the other horrible things Illinois has done to us. I've got ones where I read off people's stupid comments on Facebook and talk about how dumb they are for some of the
Oh, I
stuff.
like that.
So you can find that one too. There's all kind of good stuff. It's called Too Honest for Social Media. It's on YouTube. If you'd like to see this mug again and the people that I interview, or you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, all the places where you can hear your favorite podcast. So we do that. And I would encourage you, again, to go to the Village of New Lennox website, because we love when people come from out of town and see all the fun things that we have for families and for community out there. And my 3 new mayor friends here, you're always welcome out in New Lennox. We'd love to be able to host you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining, and we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Mayor's Perspective podcast. If today's conversation matters to you, share it with someone who cares about the future of their community. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss upcoming discussions with leaders from across Illinois tackling the issues that impact your city, your wallet, and your future. Because when decisions are made at the top, they're felt at home. Let's talk again soon.